Hey everybody, welcome to my bedroom. I apologize for the terrible lighting. It's just that this was the easiest place to sit down and talk. Do that on camera. It is, as I film this, just about to turn 10:30 here on the 11th of October, 10:30 p.m. It is. This is not an easy video to make for one really big reason. I've been putting the easy and more humbling, genuinely easier and humbling part off for months, weeks, I don't know. I lose track of time with everything I've had go on. But the really difficult part has been in less than a week. Back here it is Tuesday evening. The difficult part happened this past Thursday. But for those of you who may be new to the channel, I've had some significant health issues over the past year. As a friend of mine, two different friends of mine have both said, so you turned 40 on the 2nd of January. This year has not gone well for you. No, being 40 has not gone well for me at all. At the end of February into March, I had to be hospitalized with pneumonia. Pretty significant. It's not even at my local hospital, which is a trauma center, but they had to airlift me to the major heart clinic in where is that? Medical Center of the Rockies in Loveland, Colorado, from all the way in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. I won't go into that. But that was a pretty serious deal that really knocked me out for several months. Ultimately recovered through all that. I moved from the family farm where I lived pretty much my entire life. I could talk about how I don't like living in city limits, but that's a topic for another time. And I would start getting better. I did have a minor kidney stone at the end of March. Yeah, required an ER visit, but as they say, I had a lot of wisdom, and that wisdom that, oh, I'm telling the joke bad, and whizzed that joke on out, whizzed the joke on out, yeah, that's true, whizzed the stone on out, but, you have fluid in your lungs, that knocks you out to where work is pretty difficult. So, and just health-wise this year, there hasn't been a whole lot of that I've been able to do. Well, time goes on, and first part of September, I had another kidney stone. This one was worse, and I could not pass it, and it ultimately would require 2 surgeries. I won't go into all the details. I will talk about how I did not like wearing a catheter. And after the second one, I had to wear it for a week, and that week is significant to the difficult part of the story. It came out last week, Wednesday. Was it the 4th, the 5th? Apologies for, I'm going to pull up my phone calendar here, but it helps me think. Yeah, the 5th, last week, Wednesday the 5th, which meant I could concentrate on the more difficult thing that was going on. Now, for the previous month or so, those of you who have been on the channel a while know Maddie. At the end of August, Maddie, my very, very loving Australian Shepherd, I've had had gotten her when she was 2. Knew her from when she was first born. I actually had one of her brothers from her litter. Was born on a ranch. They have, well, it was a working ranch. They have cattle dogs. I had Maddie, and when she was about 2.5, she came to me. I won't go into all that story, but we've been pretty much attached to the hip since. The only minor health issue she ever had in all that time was she got in a tussle with a cat and had a cut above her eye, and that required, just minor stuff, but boy, I can't remember exactly when, mid to late August, she started coming down with what presented as kennel cough. And on the trip to the vet, that's what it looked like. It's been going around. She's not around dogs very often, but it was thought she might have picked it up from the groomer. And she would start to get better, but then she started getting worse. So back to the vet, and think, well, it still seems like kennel cough. But if we have to come in again, we'll do an x-ray. Well, it was not very long, and we had to go back in. And they found fluid in her lungs and a mass tumor in her chest. She was 8 years old, and this happened. And I knew that day there was not going to be much long-term prognosis for Maddie, and they did get me a referral to the specialty clinic. A very wonderful veterinary clinic at Colorado State University. I forget the name of it, so please forgive me. I'll try to put a link to it in the description. Very wonderful people there. The appointment actually would have been next week, but lo and behold, they had a cancellation, so they moved up to this week. Well, then by the end of that day, so there's been another cancellation. Do it the 6th. I'm like, excellent. So you can imagine how I was feeling last week Wednesday. Get my catheter out. I could walk in a straight line again. I basically ran home. That's barely an exaggeration. Got packed. Had a friend of mine come down. He rode with me. We drove down that night with Maddie, who seemed to be having one of her okay days. We got her to her appointment last week, Thursday the 6th. In fact, if you saw this month's VGM, I'd filmed the introduction from the hotel room in Fort Collins. We got her to the appointment, and she went into a pretty rapid decline. And about 12:30 that afternoon, I had to make a decision to not let her suffer anymore. If I feel like it, and I may decide not to, I could, just about any other one of my friends, I would have been upset, but friend Tim, who's featured on this channel maybe a time or two, may again in the future, took a picture of me and Maddie in the last moments before she passed. The good news is she's not suffering anymore. The silence around home has been deafening. It is so quiet, it makes me want to scream. I remember walking out, and the staff there was so helpful and gracious. But as we're leaving, and I wanted to scream out about how unfair it is. You're walking out, you go through the waiting room, there's all these dogs that look like they're doing better, and I just wanted to scream about how unfair everything was. And I remember as we were waiting there, there was a dog who was 2 years post chemo doing well, and he wasn't supposed to make that line. But made it out and had to make a few phone calls telling those who needed it no immediately. But here I am. They made all the arrangements with the pet cemetery, funeral home to do the cremation, paw print, got all that today. I went back to Fort Collins today to recover Maddie's remains and bring her home. I'm not doing okay, and I really don't know what else to say about that. I really don't. No, my battery's about dead, so I should make this quick. I should have thought of that before I started recording this. Humbling part. Some of you may have seen a GoFundMe that I put out earlier this year. Just because not being able to work because of the health issues, there's a couple bills that I'm needing to get caught up on. And part of that was also going to be getting back to work and doing a photo video project with Maddie, but that's not going to happen now. But if there's, but yeah, work being slow to non-existent and having the medical bills on top of things. If there's any way any of you can help, I'll put the link to the GoFundMe in the description. I don't need to raise a whole lot. It's just to get a step up and get some work stuff. Get a bill out of the way, maybe cover a couple work expenses and get back at it. A lot of stuff I had budgeted out, but hey, health issues, you don't plan on that. Dog health issues, it certainly wasn't planning on that. So I better call it before the battery dies on the camera. And but if you can help, great. Don't feel obligated to. Please feel free to share, and I certainly would appreciate it. So thank you all. I'll catch you all on the flip side.